Today is the 7th. It's a Wednesday, so I'm tied up with work almost the whole day, but I've been dreaming about going on a hike. But the forecast is overcast, which is usually enough to kill my desire to hike from the get-go, but photography gives you an excuse to go regardless. Last Saturday we got a ton of snow. Wanted to see what was left, and my optimism prevailed over less than ideal circumstances. The second I was done at work, I was off. It was a race to get dressed. Insulating layers, windbreaking layers, waterproof shoes for the guaranteed slush, grabbing the keys in the ignition, and we're off. Thinking yuck at first, because quite a bit of overcast was sticking around, but the mindset was at worst it's a good bit of fitness. There is some hope as we get closer to the trailhead, because against all odds of the forecast, quite a bit of sun started to poke out over the Front Range. Real quick, this is the Front Range, the foothills before the Rocky Mountains. What we are climbing today are these two mesas. Now arriving to the scene, I grab my gear and I'm off. When the parking lot is right at the base of the mesa, the first and only thing you really do is start going straight up. Some people, bless their heart, will run up and down this thing for fun. I'm enjoying a slow hike. It's nice to be in nature, even if the town is right below us, but the sky continues to open up more and more as I continue on, getting plenty of rest, taking photos. The big feature of this hike is the exposed rock face at the top of the mesa. We also got lucky that the clouds were breaking into some very interesting shapes and sizes. It was also amusing to see what parts of the mesa were getting the most sun, having already melted the weekend snowstorm. I found myself mostly taking photos of the side with the snow. It just had more elements to work with, and as I continued up the incline, I was taking enough photos to regularly be passed by all my fellow hikers. But as I continued up the hill, I continued to work the most interesting elements, always playing with different amounts of foreground, different angles, and different compositions. Taking time to appreciate the beauty of both views, the sun was coming out enough in conjunction with hiking I had to shed that coat about halfway up. I continued on in high spirits and enjoying the sun in my face. Getting towards the top, I could look back on everything I'd overcome, the town now so far below. If you want to take better photos, start with doing your best to appreciate all the details, both small and grand, around you. It can be really hard to do. It can be downright overwhelming, but it's good for you. Even if you don't take photos, I'd give you some cheesy advice like smell the flowers. At the top of the mesa, you essentially have two choices. You can either get on top of the exposed rock that we photographed, or you can continue into the heart of the mesa. We chose to do the latter as I wanted to play with some photo concepts involving the massive backdrop, some flash photography, and doing it during blue hour. Also taking the time to appreciate the clouds in the open sky, taking in just how far they've moved. The wind was a lot faster up here, so I put my coat back on. Here it is in reverse because I didn't feel like filming it. See, the top of this mesa isn't quite flat, but closer to almost rolling hills, and I love this spot with hibernating vegetation pushing through the snow and the long downslope just giving a lot of background to this location. This is where I wanted to experiment with some of those portrait ideas, and normally I'd use an off-camera flash, but right now I'm just having fun with it, and just like the landscape on the climb, always trying different compositions. I'm lucky enough to have my wonderful partner that is always there to help me be in a constant state of experimentation. A lot like painters doing practice runs and sketches, the best way to learn, improve, and stumble into something new is to actually do it. Have fun with it. Don't be afraid to take photos that never make it to your portfolio. And I also love that with how fast this is sped up, you can see how blazing fast the clouds are going. I don't think any of the photos I took today will land themselves in my portfolio, and that's okay. I got to be in nature, I got to move my body, and I got to practice and refine my photography. A good day is just being in the moment and laying stepping stones towards something greater that you could ever accomplish in a single day. Lost in the world, I wouldn't leave if I could. Taking in the beauty of the sky, I live for bright and dark clouds in the same space. But that sun was starting to go behind the mountains, which meant it was going to get really cold, really quick. I don't know about you, but my hands are by far my weakest link when it gets cold, which is cruel to a photographer. Making our way back down as more people headed up, stopping to look at all the same sights to see them in their new conditions. You could do this same hike on another day and get dramatically different results, depending on the season and the weather that you find yourself in. That's the beauty of photography. Change in time moving forward is guaranteed, but you freeze a moment and share it with the world. It's why you should always find an excuse to go shoot photos. Even if you're dissuaded by the lighting conditions, things can change in a moment, and that's often when they're the most beautiful, is in that transition. The only way you can be there for that moment is to go. But as the sun sets and my feet grow heavier than I started, I get the glory of seeing my car in the parking lot, and I make my way home because I got my day job tomorrow. It was a good day.